Throughout the nearly 20 years since Osu's release, there has been one player that has stood out amongst all others. That player, who began playing Osu on the 17th of June 2009, is Cookiezi. At least, that's what I know him as. This story will cover the legacy of Cookiezi from my point of view. When I first began playing Osu during the summer of 2012, there was one name everyone had in their mind when it came to the peak of skill in Osu. Everyone in the Osu community had their eyes firmly trained on the legendary player, blindly fascinated by the level of skill being displayed every single time he would touch the game. Cookiezi was essentially the first Osu celebrity. Being that he was also a highly mysterious figure around this time, and still remains one to this day, it's safe to say Cookiezi, known nowadays as ChocoMint, is the most mythical figure in Osu history. Today I will be taking a trip down nostalgia lane, in hopes of telling you all this story through the eyes of a die-hard Cookiezi fan. My goal, to make you feel like you were there to experience this story in real time. If you enjoyed today's video and want to see more like it in the future, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel with bell notifications on so you don't miss any future uploads. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. Over the years, Cookiezi, known today as ChocoMint, has gone by many different names. Depending on when you joined Osu, you may know him as Cookiezi, Shigetora, Nathan on Osu, ChocoMint, BurstLimit, and a few other names. Today, we will be starting off by talking about the Cookiezi era. From what I remember, Cookiezi was unanimously seen as the god of Osu. Cookiezi was known around the time I began playing Osu to be the greatest player to ever touch the game. It seemed like nobody could compete with the level of skill that he had, and for the most part, they were right. Cookiezi has set legendary scores that have yet to be matched by even the most skilled players of the modern era. Unfortunately, due to a situation we will talk about shortly, most of these scores have been lost to time, only to be witnessed through YouTube videos posted of replays saved before the incident I'm referring to. Speaking of which, let's talk about what led up to that incident. Nearing the end of 2012, the Osu community saw the third edition of the Osu World Cup, a yearly tournament where teams from all around the world battle it out to become the Osu World Cup champions for the year and earn a shiny profile badge, along with various other rewards as a result of placing in the top 3. 2012 marked the year that South Korea would win the Osu World Cup for the second year in a row. Despite his level of skill, this was Cookiezi's only time having won an Osu World Cup, for various different reasons. Around this time, South Korea had some of the best Osu players in the world, even without their star player Cookiezi, with players like Dungeon, Cheesy, Beatrice, and many other talented players among the Korean OWC team that dominated the World Cup from 2011 to 2013, only to be stopped in 2014 by an incredibly strong Japanese team. It's safe to say South Korea was a force to be reckoned with around this time, and amongst those players was Cookiezi. However, things were about to get a bit complicated for the god of Osu, and the landscape of South Korean Osu as a whole. Right before the beginning of the 2013 Osu World Cup, Cookiezi would make a decision that sent shockwaves throughout the Osu community, both because of the seriousness and confusion surrounding the event that took place. On November 11th, 2013, Cookiezi would log on to Osu with the sole purpose of getting his account banned. This was done by using a popular cheat at the time referred to as Time Warp. Utilizing the modifications Hidden Hard Rock Double Time, Cookiezi would go on to set 2 infamous scores that would help him fulfill his desire to get his account banned. One of these scores would go on to become one of the largest memes in Osu history, which I'm sure most of you have heard of. After setting the scores on Masterpiece Insane and the refrain of the lovely Great War Lunatic, Cookiezi's account would be banned by the Osu moderation team. As a result of this, all of Cookiezi's legendary scores would be wiped from existence in an instant. The only remaining proof of these scores, like I said previously, being various replay files compiled by members of the community prior to his ban, uploaded onto YouTube. The confusion surrounding this event was immense. Nowadays, when somebody gets banned or restricted, it's pretty much immediately made apparent as to why it happened. Back then, this was not the case. Nobody really knew why Cookiezi had done this, other than word of mouth from unreliable sources at the time. There were a few rumors floating around that I personally remember being told or hearing in Osu general chat. From my memory, I recall 2 main rumors surrounding Cookiezi's ban being spread around this time. My best friend that introduced me to Osu, one of Cookiezi's biggest fans at this time, told me that Cookiezi's self-ban was a result of his eyesight deteriorating from overplaying Osu throughout the year, which frustrated him greatly. The other main rumor floating around was that he had an argument with Osu's staff, which resulted in him getting upset at the Osu staff team as he interpreted their response as disrespectful. This then led to Cookiezi expressing to the Osu staff team that he wanted his account deleted. When the Osu staff team denied his request, he took matters into his own hands and decided to cheat in order to force the Osu staff team into fulfilling his request. It is commonly accepted nowadays that these are both somewhat true. For a few years though, we wouldn't know the truth behind why this event occurred, only the rumors being spread. Within the 2-year time frame following his ban, Cookiezi had become somewhat of a legend from within the shadows, with only tales of the scores he had set being told, and only a handful of videos on YouTube showcasing the level of skill he held and displayed before the self-ban incident. This also included a few different live plays he had on his YouTube channel, named TLDZKek. For the time being, nobody knew if Cookiezi would ever return to the game, and then in late 2014, something strange occurred. On December 19th, 2014, a mysterious user by the name of BurstLimit set a score on the now infamous map Blue Zenith, 4 dimensions with 99.89% accuracy. The earliest mention of the score I could find was on this Reddit post from March 12th of 2015. This had obviously sprung up rumors that the account could belong to a top player that had previously been banned. People wanted this account to belong to Cookiezi. There was only one issue though. The BurstLimit account was playing from Japan, and Cookiezi was known to have lived in South Korea. A score of this magnitude was only able to be matched by some of the best players of the time period, and people were highly suspicious this account could belong to the legend himself. It turns out they were right. This was huge news for Cookiezi fanboys, as nobody had known what Cookiezi was up to post-ban, if he had been playing the game at all, or what had come of the legendary player that self-banned a little over a year ago. I remember vividly around this time being told by my friend about this play and the appearance of BurstLimit. He was incredibly hyped to have restored hope of the possibility of the legend himself coming back to the game. However, things weren't all sunshine and rainbows, as Cookiezi was in fact caught multi-accounting by using the account BurstLimit. This is strictly against Osu's rules and looked down upon by the community and Osu staff, meaning that this event solidified his ban, at least for the time being. Before it came out that BurstLimit was Cookiezi, the account participated in the Osu LE tournament winter, with his teammate being a player by the name of Poruteri. The pair won every single match they played and won the tournament. That was up until the ban of BurstLimit, which led to the following message being displayed on the tournament spreadsheet. A rough translation of this message is, due to the ban of the BurstLimit player, the post-limit team will be disqualified. Therefore, the pair in second place will be promoted to first place, the pair in third place to second place, and the pair in fourth place to third place. This meant that due to the ban and subsequent disqualification, Cookiezi's team was forced to forfeit the tournament after dominating every other team throughout the entirety of the tournament, defeating the second place team 5-0 in the grand finals to take the win. For half a year following the ban of BurstLimit, people were stunned as to what had happened, and curiosity began to build. There were a few testimonies from members of the community that were friends with Cookiezi around this time, claiming that the BurstLimit account did in fact belong to him, but nobody was 100% sure, and people were skeptical to say the least. However, in June of 2015, all doubts were set to rest when Cookiezi decided to go live on his Twitch account. To everyone's surprise, he was playing Osu. This event set all doubts to rest and showed the community that not only was Cookiezi playing the game, but he was better than he had ever been. Throughout the streams from June to August of 2015, Cookiezi would show us just how much better he had become, surprising everybody by setting multiple impressive plays with Nomad and especially with Hard Rock. Overall, Cookiezi's return to Osu and his live streams around this time had stunned the Osu community. These streams would garner thousands of viewers, and around this time, it was unheard of for an Osu player to get this many viewers on Twitch, or anywhere for that matter. The viewer numbers were so unheard of that these streams would attract multiple members of Twitch staff that were curious as to what was going on and why this individual had been attracting such a large number of people to what at the time was a relatively unknown unknown game. Some notable scores set by Cookiezi around this time are his full combo on Jenny's Cry Thunder on the 26th of June 2015 with no mod and 99.46% accuracy, a map which to this day only has 4 full combos, although the version played by Cookiezi and FC'd was not the same version as the map was ranked in July of 2015. His full combo on Genryuu Kaiko, HIgan Torrent, on the 8th of July 2015, as well as quitting out of a promising run on the 29th of July 2015 with Hard Rock on Blue Zenith 4 Dimensions. These were some pretty impressive plays, some of which couldn't even be matched by the top players of the time. Throughout July, Cookiezi would put in many attempts on maps like Freedom Dive 4 Dimensions with Hard Rock, where he nearly passed the map but ended up failing, and it became clear to the community that Cookiezi was still the best Osu player of all time, and support for his unban had began to rally behind the scenes as people wanted to see Cookiezi compete with some of the top players of the time, as there were many new highly skilled players that people thought might give Cookiezi a run for his money for the rank 1 spot. At the end of the day, the one thing that drives hype in the community is competition for rank 1, and everyone wanted to see the legend himself back at the rank 1 spot as he was before his ban. On Thursday, November 26th, 2015, the moment everybody had been awaiting had finally arrived. Cookiezi was unbanned by the Osu staff team. After 2 years of uncertainty, rumors, and controversial decisions, the legend was finally back. It's safe to say the community was ecstatic over this news. On this day, the sheer amount of people attempting to spectate Cookiezi led to the servers struggling to stay alive. As everyone began spectating the legend in-game, spectator numbers easily crossed over 1,000 people actively spectating him. As the servers struggled to stay alive, you can see that the spectator numbers began to fluctuate rapidly. Spectator numbers of this magnitude were unheard of for the time, and prior to this instance had never been seen before, which was precisely why the Bancho servers struggled to stay online, as it began attempting to compete with the immense number of spectators attempting to watch the legend in action. I remember this day vividly, and how hyped myself and my friend were to stay up all night, even though we had to go to school in the morning, in order to watch Cookiezi's live stream that same morning. It was one of the most hype moments in Osu history, if not the most hype moment in the history of Osu, especially up until this point. It is undeniable that this was the most insane day in Osu history up until this point, and staying up was well worth it to watch the legend himself finally come back after 2 years of being banned from the game. Throughout this stream, Cookiezi set many different impressive plays. On maps like Image Material, he set the 2nd S rank on the map's leaderboard, taking the number 3 spot only to be outscored by Hakure Reimu and Ratui, with an insane accuracy of 99.56%. This was the best accuracy set on the map by any player at this time. He also quit out of a 99.75% ac run on Freedom Dive 4 Dimensions as he wasn't happy with the score, which would have been the best accuracy play on the leaderboard at the time, other than his SS on the map set before his ban. We also saw many promising runs over 1000 combo on Everything Will Freeze, Time Freeze, which at this point had not had a single FC on the leaderboard, and the rank 1 spot was held by Rafis with only 1000 combo. After failing a 1.6k combo run on the map, he set the number 1 score with a 1339 combo 97.73% accuracy score. He would then go on to beat this score a few minutes later with a 1.6k combo run with an accuracy of 98.24%. He would go on to fail a run on Blue Zenith 4 Dimensions with Hard Rock a little over halfway through the map. Around this time, there were only 2 no-mod FCs on that map's leaderboards, then failing the map directly after with nearly 99% accuracy, only about 10% away from passing. I also noticed that Vaxe was on the leaderboards of the map shown on screen, which I didn't expect to see as I had no idea Vaxe even existed at this point. He then set a score on Yotoji Banashi no Kamika Kushi top diff with Hard Rock, while missing the last spinner intentionally, which was a score well ahead of its time, as you can see by the leaderboard where there are only 6 no-mod full combos. He would then go back to Blue Zenith, but this time on KTGsters Extreme with Hard Rock to set a 5-miss 2100 combo run on the map. This difficulty of the map having only 1 Hard Rock full combo at the time. It was safe to say after seeing this stream that the hype was not only justified, but the legend himself had returned.